You ever put on a big blockbuster movie and get this weird feeling of déjà vu? You know, that feeling like, wait a minute, I've seen this exact performance before, just in a different movie with a different costume. Well, we're going to dive into a trend that's kind of taking over Hollywood right now. It's this personality problem where the brand of a movie star has become way more important than the actual craft of acting. And trust me, once you see it, you will not be able to unsee it. So let's just start with a simple question for you. Think about these three guys right here: The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, and Chris Pratt. I mean, besides being some of the biggest movie stars on the planet, what's the one thing that really ties them all together?
Well, here's a pretty provocative way to put it, something our sources point to. They're not really acting anymore. They're just being themselves on camera for an absolutely massive paycheck. And it's really just a symptom of a much, much bigger problem happening across the entire industry.
Okay, so how in the world did we get here? First, we're going to define this whole epidemic of sameness. Then, we'll do what you always do: follow the money to see why this makes financial sense. After that, we'll break down the huge difference between acting and branding, look at the real price of all this predictability, and finally, talk about the role that we, the audience, play in all of this.
All right, first up, let's get to the core of the issue. We are seeing the exact same performance from the exact same actors in pretty much every single movie they're in. It used to be that the role would shape the actor, right? Not anymore. Now, the actor just reshapes every single role to fit their pre-packaged brand. I mean, just take Ryan Reynolds. Ever since Deadpool became this monster hit, his entire career has basically become one long, self-aware, sarcastic monologue. It doesn't matter if he's in a big Netflix action movie or a comedy about video games, you know you're getting that signature fourth-wall-breaking, wisecracking thing. And then you've got Chris Pratt. He has absolutely perfected the role of the lovable doofus, right? The well-meaning, kind of goofy guy who somehow stumbles his way into saving the day. Whether he's in Guardians of the Galaxy or Jurassic World, the character, at his core, is pretty much the same guy. And of course, there's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who might just be the ultimate example of this whole phenomenon. He's the charming, hardest-working guy in the room, the bicep with a smile. You look at Jumanji, Fast and Furious, Red Notice. He's not really playing a character in those movies. He's playing The Rock. He doesn't act, he just shows up on camera. And this, right here, this is the heart of it all. Hollywood has started to confuse charisma with actual acting range. The industry isn't really rewarding the art of transformation anymore. Instead, it's rewarding branding, the ability to be the same, consistent, super marketable personality over and over again. So, why? Why is this happening? To get that, we have to look at the business side of things. Why would a movie studio want the same performance again and again? Well, the answer, like it so often is in Hollywood, is all about choosing certainty over creativity. Okay, just try to put yourself in the shoes of a studio executive for a second. You're about to write a check for $200 million to make one movie. A single flop could not only cost you your job, it could hurt the entire company. The biggest fear you have is risk. So naturally, you cling to anything that feels like a safe bet. And this quote just nails the modern mindset. Studios are desperate for certainty. They want a guaranteed return on their investment, and that means using familiar formulas, familiar stories, and most importantly, familiar performances. It's kind of like ordering the same thing at a restaurant every single time. You know it's not going to blow your mind, but hey, at least you know you're not going to hate it. And this is where the actor as brand comes into play. See, when a studio casts The Rock, they're not just hiring an actor. They're buying a package deal. They're getting his hundreds of millions of social media followers, a built-in global audience, and a 100% guarantee of exactly what kind of performance they're going to get. For that executive who's gambling $200 million, that certainty, well, that's priceless. So what's the big deal? What have we actually lost in this trade-off? What's the real difference between a person who's a marketable brand and a truly great actor? Well, it all boils down to one simple, powerful word: transformation. This slide really lays it all out, the two totally different approaches. For a personality actor, they are the character. Their persona is the entire selling point. But for what we'd call a chameleon actor, the whole goal is to vanish, to completely disappear, to make you, the audience, forget you're even watching a famous person.
I mean, just think about actors like these. When you watch Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill or Daniel Day-Lewis as Abraham Lincoln, you're not thinking about the actor. They are gone. Their entire legacy is built not on being themselves, but on this incredible, almost magical ability to become someone else entirely.
But look, this whole shift from acting to branding isn't just a matter of artistic taste. It has real industry-wide consequences that are affecting the kinds of stories that can even get made in the first place.
What happens is you get this creatively bankrupt feedback loop. It goes like this. You cast a predictable brand. Because of that, you have to build the entire movie around that brand. That automatically limits the story's emotional depth and range. I mean, you can't really make a gritty, complex character study if your star refuses to stop winking at the camera. And that, in turn, discourages writers and directors from ever taking a risk. Why would you bother writing a deep, complicated character when you know the star is just going to play themselves anyway? And maybe the most damaging thing of all is that this whole system becomes a form of gatekeeping. Why would a studio take a huge gamble on a brilliant but totally unknown actor, a true chameleon, when they can just cast a social media star who comes with 50 million Instagram followers and a built-in marketing platform? This system threatens to stop the next Meryl Streep or the next Daniel Day-Lewis from ever even getting a chance to break through. But it's not all doom and gloom. It doesn't have to be this way. The future isn't written yet. And, the most powerful force for change in all of this might just be us, the audience. If you look back, legends like Meryl Streep and Denzel Washington became stars because studios took a chance on pure, raw talent. Today, it's different. Our 24/7 connection to actors on social media makes it harder for them to disappear into a role. We've kind of been trained to value their likable persona more than the believability of their character. But there is hope. We've seen actors shatter their brand, like Adam Sandler's incredible dramatic turn in Uncut Gems. And even The Rock is starring in a serious dramatic film for A24, which is a sign that maybe, just maybe, the tide is starting to turn. So, at the end of the day, here's why this matters. The key takeaway is that the power really does lie in what we choose to celebrate. If we, as an audience, get excited about transformative performances, if we reward movies that take big creative risks, and if we show up for actors who dare to be different, the studios will listen. They always follow the money. And it's our tickets and our streaming choices that tell them where the money is.
And all of this leaves us with one final, pretty big question to think about. By settling for the same performance over and over and over again, by choosing the comfortable brand over the challenging piece of art, what incredible characters, what profound stories, and what amazing undiscovered talents are we all missing out on?